Fox News Alert: polls just closed in Florida, and there's a lot at stake. DeSantis is about to be termed out, and votes are pouring in for his replacement. Byron Donalds just clinched the Republican nomination. He has Trump's endorsement. Over on the House side, Republican Corey Mills is in the hot seat. He could lose his primary. But the fresh action: can communism play in Florida, the Sunshine State, now ground zero in the battle for the soul of the Democrat Party? The communists have proven they can win in coastal cities and in the Rust Belt, but Florida's a different animal.
Now it's time for us to not just be quiet, because silence is complicity. Now is the time for us to stand up and lock arms and be willful accomplice in this fight against fascism. Now is the time for us to meet this oppression with resistance.
That's Angie Nixon, no relation to Richard. She's running for U.S. Senate. Her opponent, Vindman. Remember him? The left's pasty impeachment witness. Bad case at TDS. But Angie, she's a whole different kind of cray-cray. In the spring, Angie was arrested for staging a sit-in outside DeSantis' office. The day before, she stormed the Capitol in Tallahassee. Hot pink and a bullhorn.
The question now recurs on final passage of HB 1D. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote.
If Angie's in charge, Florida man can do whatever he wants, because Angie wants to abolish prisons.
I want to abolish for-profit prisons because I believe right now people aren't educating our children, and they're ushering them into the school-to-prison pipeline because they want to exploit labor.
But she'll make one exception. Quote, "I can't wait until Donald Trump is arrested and held accountable." So prisons are racist unless you're throwing the white man in them. That's what she's running on. Get whitey. And if you cried when Charlie died, Klansman. Quote, "It is beyond disrespectful to introduce resolutions honoring Charlie Kirk. If you support it, you are a tool of white supremacy," and I did not stutter. Angie's a one-trick pony. At one of her little Zoom rallies, she booked a poet to call the state of Florida, you guessed it, racist.
Agua Florida, Ponce de Leon haunting the fountain of youth at a genocide theme park. The smudge of the Timucua people slaughter we water, where voodoo priests, santeras, and shamans pontificate premonitions and prescribe spiritual baths for mal de ojo. How I-95 cut Miami like a fresh wound. Calling the place you want to rep racist is a bold strategy. Obama didn't even try it. NBC's like, are you sure this is going well?
The president and Republicans have been very eager to paint the entire Democratic Party as communists and Marxists. Do you worry that those attacks could resonate in a place like Florida, especially considering all the Cuban-American population there?
Look, we can argue all day about people's labels.
Cuba's 90 miles from Florida. Millions of Cubans fled communism and set up shop there. So if you want to win Florida, you got to connect with the Cubans. And when they hear politicians say everything's going to be free, they know what's next. They're going to lose their freedom.
Are we ready for Medicare for all? Are we ready for universal child care? Are we ready for paid family and medical leave? Are we ready for a $25 an hour minimum wage? Are we ready for free college? Are we ready for a Green New Deal?
That's Oliver. He's a communist running for a House seat against Jared Moskowitz, a Democrat who's kind of a wise guy, but he does come on Fox. Jared backs Israel, Doge, and he just won. AP just called it. Probably because Oliver was running on sucking every billionaire dry.
Give me a number. What percentage of every dollar should every American be able to keep after they pay the government, local, state, federal?
It depends on the range of income that someone is making. For billionaires, I think that billionaires should be taxed out of existence.
We have a little theory on why Oliver hates wealth. He went to Exeter, best boarding school in the nation. He probably got bullied or something happened to him, but he's out for revenge. Usually with these communists, it's some kind of family or personal issue. They blindly lash out at the system because of white guilt or anti-colonial propaganda they heard in school, or they just hate their dad. These communists they're staring down the barrel at seasoned machine politicians. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's been in the House for 2 decades. Former DNC chair. She was there when they rigged the primary for Crooked against Bernie. Debbie just won her primary, but it wasn't pretty. She had to fight off a commie named Elijah, who wanted to run the white lady out of town.
We cannot have somebody who claims to be an ally to our community come in this moment, the moment that we're in right now, and take away our representation. One of the last remaining opportunity districts that we'll have in the South being held by a white Democrat. That's unacceptable.
Elijah Manley is a black, gay, Gen Z Jewish communist. If only he was an illegal, he'd check every box. Here's his wish list.
Now we're going to do rapid fire. Rapid fire. Do you support Medicare for all?
Yes.
Universal child care?
Yes.
Abolishing and prosecuting ICE?
Yes.
Abolishing private prisons?
Yes.
A Green New Deal?
Yes.
National rent control?
Yes.
Restoring temporary protected status for Haitians?
Yes.
You know the kid in high school whose parents always said yes? How'd that kid turn out? No bueno. Elijah's position on the border, let's just call it unique.
I'm saying if they come into the country illegally, which means crossing the border illegally, and they have a rap sheet back in their own country, are you okay with them staying here?
What I'm saying is if a murderer comes into the United States of America, sending them back for them to just come back over the border doesn't make sense to me. If you're a murderer coming to this country, put you in jail. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think Elijah understands how this whole thing works. We're not catching and releasing killers at the border. Even Biden didn't do that. This is a whole new Democrat scene. 10 years ago, when Debbie was running the DNC, she just brushed it off.
Well, what is the difference between a Democrat and a socialist? I used to think there was a big difference. What do you think it is?
The difference between
a Democrat like Hillary Clinton and a socialist like Bernie Sanders.
What's the difference between being a Democrat and being a Republican?
Well, what's the bigger difference? What's the big difference between a Democrat and a socialist? You're the chairman of the Democratic Party. Tell me the difference between you and a socialist.
The relevant debate that we'll be having over the course of this campaign is what's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican?
I think there's a huge difference.
When you ignore a problem, it doesn't go away. It just gets bigger. That's what happened here. Elijah Not So Manley was even on a warpath against
Hakeem Jeffries needs to listen to the base of the party. The vast majority, the polls are showing that the vast majority of our party, they want Medicare for all. They want us to restrict aid to Israel. That's what the people want. People are tired of status quo politics.
They all underestimated the Bernie bros. The machine thought they buried him in 2016, but dead man's walking with a whole army of commie zombies behind him. How do I know the Democrats are terrified? They keep screaming their safe word, Big Tent.
I think the Democratic Party has to be a big tent party where people can have different ideas on how we solve a problem as long as we agree that that problem exists.
Well, you know what the communists say the problem is? Capitalism, cops. Does little Andy agree that's the problem? If his party's not going to be honest, it's over. James Carville, all year, screaming about the threat of communism, how he was going to leave the party if they won. The party's not big enough for the both of us, he said. Well, they won, and he downplayed it. You're not worried about the communists taking over the party?
No, they're a bunch of silly people. Those people you had on there, those DSA people, they're a pack of fools. No one pays attention to them.
Well, they've already gotten attention, from New York to Denver to Michigan. The question is, can they shake up the party tonight in Florida? Now, if they do, the party's facing a war on multiple fronts. A lot of Democrats are like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, the Bidens are coming down with commie fever.
If you want to call it socialism, to say that you believe that it is a right for every American to have access to health care, then so be it. If you call it socialism, to say that every child should have access to a decent education from kindergarten through college, at an affordable in an affordable way that's safe and secure, then I don't look at that as being socialism.
Hunter's not going to get away with putting lipstick on a pig. What he's feeling in his heart? Schadenfreude. He is delighted to see the establishment get kicked in its teeth after what they did to his dad. Hunter's like, you didn't want my dad? All right, how about AOC?
I see the future of the Democratic Party in every way. I think that AOC, not only as a communicator, but as someone that can, that has an instinct to find common ground, that believes that in order for that we do have to have some kind of radical change, and that's not a radical thing to say.
Hunter just wants to see someone suffer besides himself. The Democrat machine, MAGA, he doesn't care. Well, tonight, we're going to find out if Democrats can stop the bleeding or if they're going to need a bigger tourniquet.
I got to tell you, PU, when it comes to the Democratic brand, the net favorability rating of the Democratic Party. You know, back in 2018, when Democrats, during the first Trump presidency, right, when they were able to win back control of the House, they were even. They were even, right? Favorable minus unfavorable, even at 0-0-0. Now look at this. 25 points underwater. Oof. Oof. You know, the Dem brand, as I said, it's not too good these days. It's not too good. It kind of smells like a New York sidewalk in the summer.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.